snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hi guys, I am here today to do a joint book review. I have two books that I kind of consider classics, so I'm going to review the two of them together, even though they are really not that similar. The first one I have to show you guys and talk about is a tiny little penguin black classic. This is number 106 in the series, and it is Oh Frabjous Day by Lewis Carroll. I have not read all 105 of the previous ones. I'm just picking up the ones that sound interesting, and I picked this up because Lewis Carroll is the author of Alice in Wonderland and Alice Through the Looking Glass, and I very much enjoyed both of those, so I was hoping that I would really like this. It is a tiny little book, only about 50 pages of nonsense poetry mostly, and it was fantastic. I really found myself falling in love with these little poems within this. I'm going to read out a few of them to you, the really short ones, because I think some of them are from Alice in Wonderland anyway, so you might already know them, and some of them are just completely new ones that I'd never heard before and I really enjoyed. I'm going to read out How Doth the Little Crocodile, because I like this one a lot. How doth the little crocodile improve his shining tail, and pour the waters of the Nile on every golden scale. How cheerfully he seems to grin, how neatly spreads his claws, and welcomes little fishies in with gently smiling jaws. It's just wonderful. He's just such a fun storyteller, and I love it. A lot of this 50-page book is actually taken up with one poem, which is called From the Hunting of the Snark, and I really enjoyed that. I saw a few people on Goodreads saying that they didn't enjoy it, but I think that the thing with Lewis Carroll's writing is that it needs to be read aloud, and if you read it aloud, it's fantastically funny, it's amusing, it's a tongue twister, it's nonsense, but it's so interesting because even though it kind of sounds like a nonsense poem, some of them have really wonderful tones to them, and some of them have really great messages to them, and I just love that, and I think it's whimsical and fun, and he's just such a great author. So if you do read this, I would highly recommend reading it aloud. I actually read the entirety of this aloud to my boyfriend and also just to myself. I don't really read an awful lot of poetry, but Lewis Carroll's poetry is poetry that I love and I just find so amusing and so entertaining. So I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars overall, and I would definitely recommend picking it up because it's only £1, so you can't really go wrong with a £1 purchase, and this one was a very good £1 purchase. The next one that I have to talk to you guys about is the first one in the Sherlock Holmes series by Arthur Conan Doyle. This is called A Study in Scarlet, and I picked this one up on audiobook because I have never read the Sherlock Holmes books and I kind of wanted to because I've seen the TV show Sherlock and I liked it a lot, and I wanted to actually go back and sort of rediscover the source material myself and find out if it was similar, and it's definitely similar, but it's also completely different. The story and the way that Arthur Conan Doyle writes about his characters is so gentlemanly and so of the times that it works incredibly well for the story, and I just found it so captivating the whole time I was listening to it. I really enjoyed seeing the actual opening of Sherlock Holmes meeting Watson and the way that they kind of addressed each other and kind of became friends through trying to solve this case together. It was just a really great adventure that the two of them had. I liked the banter that the two of them had, and I liked the way that Watson is constantly on edge, constantly wondering what Sherlock is thinking because he's such a peculiar character, and Watson tries to kind of guess ahead of time what he's going to do, but he never really can, and Sherlock is full of surprises. All the time he just does wacky stuff that made me chuckle, and I really liked seeing the way that Watson kind of idolised him and kind of found him such an interesting specimen to write about. The two of them together, they bounce off of each other really well. I know that Jean from Jean's Bookish Thoughts absolutely loves the Sherlock Holmes series, so I thought it was time to dive in, and I definitely am glad that she inspired me to do so because it is such a fun series so far. It's definitely not like anything spectacular yet, but it is only the first book by him, so I think there are loads more, and I'm sure that I'm going to enjoy them because these mysteries and these stories and the way that he solves the mysteries is always quite fun. I will say that in this one, halfway through, there is a whole other narrative that begins that does not focus on Sherlock Holmes at all. It does link in with the mystery and it kind of explains how the mystery came to be, but I actually thought I had skipped part of the audiobook and gone on to a whole other book because it was so different. It's a kind of Wild West sort of religious cult sort of thing, and it's definitely different from what I was reading already. So bear that in mind if you go into this, that there is a very sudden jump in narrative voice and narrative setting, but it does all tie together in the end and it all worked out really well, and I ended up really enjoying this as a whole. So I gave A Study in Scarlet a 3.5 out of 5 stars, and I would certainly recommend checking out at least that one in the series, and hopefully I will continue to read the rest of the series over the next few months and years, because I think there are quite a few, as I said. So yes, very excited to do that. I'd love to hear your thoughts on both Lewis Carroll and Arthur Conan Doyle. If you have read either of their books, which ones would you recommend? Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in another video very soon. Bye!
Thank you for watching my video today. Go pick up a book, then come back and chat with me again.